Spandan Shah. I am working as a senior DevOps and cloud engineer in XenonStack in AWS Code. So today's agenda of our discussion is AWS centric CI/CD. So what are the options available? So today we'll be going to talking about Code Pipeline, AWS Code Pipeline, which is basically a mixture of many services provided by AWS. So before jumping into the topic, we need to have a very clear idea about the problem statement. Moving forward, we work with clients who always doesn't believe on using third-party tools. Whether it comes to SCM or any CI/CD, they do not believe. Like we have options like GitLab, we have Bitbucket pipelines, we have several other options available in the market. For SCM, if we talk, we have GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, etc. Talking about CI/CDs, we have options like Jenkins, we have Bitbucket pipeline, we have GitLab CI/CD, etc. available in the market. So, talking about something which is, to be precise, AWS centric, we have AWS Code Pipeline, which comes up with AWS Code Commit, which is working as a single Git repository, which is privately hosted. Again, we have open source options, but we are focusing directly on the AWS centric services because it totally on the client's mindset, because they want something to be more reliable, more managed by AWS. They don't believe on using third-party tools. So Code Commit is one of the options for them. So after Code Commit, we have the section where we need to do the builds. So we have code build, and finally the section where we need to deploy. So this three mixture of code commit, code build, code deploy, and integrating several other AWS service, we can bring up all together in AWS Code Pipeline and use and enhance our release engineering process, because we are in an era like software developers, like developers pushing their code every day, and new releases are being required for the end users. So this is something AWS provides. This is something AWS centric CI/CD we have. Moving forward, we have clients who doesn't really believe on using open source tools. Open source tools, like talking about SCM, we have GitHub, we have Bitbucket, etc. Talking about CI/CD, we have Bitbucket pipelines, we have GitLab CI/CD, we have Jenkins, etc. So here lies the catch, the clients, some of the clients doesn't really want to use any third-party tool. They believe more on the security side of the house. They want to use something which is provided by the AWS. So we have we have introduced, we have started using AWS Code Pipeline in our projects, and we are proposing our clients to use that also. The solution which we are providing to our client is to use AWS Code Pipeline. So AWS Code Pipeline is a mixture of bunch of services. It comes up with AWS Code Commit, although we can use any other source repositories. You can use S3 or etc. But we are using AWS Code Commit because it is more likely to Git or GitHub or Bitbucket, etc. So yes, we are using AWS Code Commit. Then we have the code build section, where we generally building our code. So this build includes, maybe we have some Java code, we have some Python code, we are maybe deploying some infrastructure using Terraform. So all this building and execution stuff is happening in the code build part of the house. Then we are moving forward to deploy the things. Yes, we have options like AWS providers, ECS, Lambda, Fargate, EC2s, etc. But we can leverage these options if we have a workload which is running in Kubernetes clusters. Then we can also leverage that thing, and we can also implement to deploy our workloads in our clusters. So this is the overall solution statement. I will guide you to the overall implementation of the things. So now let's take a look into the architecture and let's have a deep dive into it. So as I have mentioned, it is a bunch of service, and we have AWS Code Pipeline. It is the main skeleton under which we have Code Commit, which is acting as a Git-like SCM, And then we have build, where all this building is actually done. Even if we have Docker image, we have some different kind of workloads where we are building our images, then we can use we can do the Docker build and finally push that in the ECR also. Then it generally doesn't come in the code pipeline, just we have created based on one of our use case. As we are deploying, before going to the plot section, we are using staging section in deploying the workload in the ECS. Then we can add our manual approval, like with limited persons having the access to approve the stage. And then if something goes well, if something goes wrong, then for all of this we can have a SNS notification which can came up directly to our email ID or our workspace channel if we have. Then finally the code deploy, where we are deploying the things. We can use Blue-Green, we can use Candy, we can use any one of the deployment strategies we like, we prefer based on the requirements. And yes, this is the overall architecture. So the idea should be, developer is pushing their code. Maybe it is an infra code, maybe it is some normal design, it may be some front end, it may be some back end. So all the raw code they are pushing, it is just working same as it. Then we are building the stuffs, then we are deploying, we are in the staging section, we are testing, and then with the approval state, and we have the approval state, and finally we are deploying. So this is the overall architecture on which AWS is offering us AWS Code Pipeline. So all this section is controlled via IAM, all the credentials, all the access. All this we do not have a problem of like exposing our access key, secret key like we use in Jenkins. We do not need to store it in a credential store because it is all on the same roof. So it is all managed by AWS, and that's why we are offering this proposal, we are offering this idea, we have this architecture to our clients and also using in our projects. So let's talk about some of the use case AWS Code Pipeline giving us. Like the most important is the multi-AZ deployments, cross-region deployments, the rollback features. Like if you are using CloudFormation, we can easily roll back to our previous state. Infra automation it is, and a proper release management flow process we can leverage. We can, like the whole software development life cycle can be easily controlled and manageable by our AWS Code Pipeline. Just if the developer do a normal push their code to the code commit repository, and the pipelines will trigger automatically. The triggers, the lambdas, we do not need to take care of any of these things. AWS Code Pipeline will be responsible for all our stuffs and maintaining that the release management, the release flow is having properly. While talking about the benefits AWS Code Pipeline offers, the most important is on the cost perspective. Like it has a pay-as-you-go model. So it will be not a burden on us, and it will be like depending on the number of times we are running the pipeline, the number of times we are doing the build, it totally dependent on that. So the most important thing is like all the services we will be using. For example, we want to visualize like our deployments, we can use step functions for that. So all these services are on part of the AWS, so we do not need to take a headache for integrating the services, integrating the things. The only things we need to take care about the IAMs, the policies, the roles we are attaching to make the things work seamlessly. So these are the only things we need to keep in mind, and we have the code ready and the pipeline ready, and we are good to go. We are good to do the deployments, and we have a beautiful release management cycle. Now the most important thing is how AWS Code Pipeline is adding value to my day-to-day work. Like we in many of the client projects, we see like the client have their own Jenkins, they have their own VPN, they have the whole setup. But working with AWS Code Pipeline, you do not need any VPN, any extra thing. One thing, you need an internet connectivity and a browser, and you will be good to use AWS Code Pipeline. So it gives us the opportunity to like leverage, to understand the power of AWS, how we can like extend the concept of CI/CD from being open source to the AWS side of the house, and we do not need to use any kind of third-party tool, And although yes, it is a new opportunity for me to understand a new CI/CD based on AWS and to implement that thing in our clients' work. So as I mentioned, we are working with clients who are using AWS Code Pipeline in their day-to-day projects. We are deploying their workloads in a Kubernetes cluster, and all of these things are maintained via AWS Code Pipeline. So as a DevOps engineer, we need to upgrade our skills based on the market demands which is running, and we need to upgrade our tech stack. So I will be thankful to XenonStack for giving me the opportunity in my experimental Saturdays to work on AWS Code Pipeline, and also after the theoretical knowledge to implement this AWS Code Pipeline in our client project and to understand the use case and the real-time problem we are facing and the detailed debugging and troubleshooting to expertise in this field and to get a more clear visibility on AWS Code Pipeline. Lastly, we are at the end of closing the session, and thank you for investing your time. I hope this will add value to everybody watching this video.